There's a story of a man who lived his life in shadows, of his own making. But life has a way of breaking through, leading him to discover something he never expected. That is how it goes. There was once a man who lived life in shadows, not the comforting shade of a tree on a warm day, but a shadow of his own making. He wasn't unhappy, at least not outwardly. He had built a life of routine, predictability, and control. He told himself it was practical, safe. But beneath the surface, there was an emptiness he couldn't name. He didn't feel much, not because he couldn't, but because he chose not to. Somewhere along the way, he had learned that feeling was dangerous, messy, and unpredictable. So he tucked his emotions away like fragile glass, too afraid they might break. He became a man of reason and logic, choosing to live in what he could see and know, leaving everything else locked behind a door he refused to open. But as life often does, it found a way to shake him. Slowly at first, in moments he could dismiss. A flicker of sadness he brushed off, a burst of anger he buried deep. But then, the cracks began to widen. He started to feel stuck, like a bird in a cage. Every path forward seemed blocked. The routine he had clung to now felt suffocating. He tried to push through, to carry on as if nothing had happened. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, the weight grew heavier, and the cage closed tighter. One night, alone in the quiet of his room, the weight became too much. He broke down, not in the loud, dramatic way he might have imagined, but in silence. A single tear slipped down his face, and with it, something inside him shifted. For the first time in years, he let himself feel. What came next was not the release he had hoped for. It was pain. Sharp, raw, and unrelenting. Memories he had avoided flooded back. Moments of loss, failure, and longing. He felt them all at once, like a dam had burst. He couldn't stop it, couldn't control it, and it terrified him. He felt trapped, not just in his life, but in his own mind. It was then he realized the truth. The prison he felt wasn't built by the world around him. It was built by his own hands, brick by brick. It wasn't his mind that trapped him, but the choice he had made long ago to shut himself off, to guard his heart, to hide his feelings, to see only what was in front of him. He had created this prison, and now he was the one who would have to break free. But how? He didn't know where to begin. So he started where he was. In the darkness of his own thoughts, he began to look inward. Slowly, cautiously, he observed the feelings that rose within him. He didn't push them away this time. He let them come, one by one. The anger, the sadness, the fear. They all had something to say. He listened. And as he sat with these feelings, he began to notice something remarkable. Each emotion, no matter how painful, carried a kind of color. The sadness was a deep blue, heavy and calm. The anger, burnt red, fierce and consuming. The fear was pale, almost translucent like smoke. And as he watched, he realized these colors were not separate. They were all part of something greater. He remembered a prism he had once seen as a child, a simple glass triangle that turned white light into a rainbow. At that time, it seemed like magic. Now he saw it for what it was, a metaphor for his life. He had been living in this split, seeing only the fragments of colors, never the whole. But now, he was starting to see the light behind it all. The prism began to fade. The walls he had built to protect himself weren't real. They were only the shadows cast by his own fear. And as he let them go, the light began to shine through. It wasn't the harsh, blinding light of the outside world, but a soft, steady glow from within. He realized that the journey he had been on, the pain, the introspection, the struggle, wasn't a detour. It was the path. The darkness he had feared wasn't his enemy. It was a space he needed to find his own light. The man began to open up, not just to the world, but to himself. He let the colors flow freely, merging into a harmony he had never known. He saw that life wasn't about escaping the split, but about embracing it, knowing that the split itself was part of the process of returning to that source. He no longer felt stuck, nor was he feeling trapped. He had found something greater than freedom. He had found himself, not as the person he thought he should be, but as the light he had always been. And in this light, he saw not just the world, but the truth of who he was, whole, peaceful, infinite. The man's journey didn't end when he found his light. It wasn't the kind of awakening that erased all pain or made life a perfect picture. Instead, it was a realization, a deep and humbling one. He came to understand that the pain and the suffering he had endured weren't mistakes or obstacles. They were threads in the fabric of his story. Without them, he wouldn't have found the clarity he now carried. And perhaps more profoundly, he realized that it was okay to not feel okay. The days of struggle, the nights spent in the shadows, they were part of the rhythm of life. They were not something to be fixed or avoided, but something to be embraced. He saw now that loving himself meant accepting every part of his journey, even the messy, imperfect moments. And as he came to this understanding, he felt a tender compassion, not just for himself, but for everyone around him. He realized that to truly love someone wasn't about solving their struggles or guiding them to their own light. It was about simply being present, giving them the space to be as they were, to feel as they needed. The same space he had found for himself, the silence he leaned into, the permission to simply be, it became a gift he could offer to others. Whether it was through a quiet support, a gentle word, or simply standing by someone without judgment, he understood that love was about resonance, openness, not control. He didn't force himself to act or speak when he didn't feel it. He learned to flow with his feelings, letting them guide his actions with authenticity. Sometimes this meant offering a hand. Other times, it meant stepping back and allowing others others to find their own way. Either way, it came from the same space, a deep trust in the journey, both his and theirs. And so as he walked forward in his life, he carried this realization with him. The light he had found wasn't something to hold tightly or display. It was simply to live, to breathe, to embody. He continued his days not as someone who had escaped the darkness, but as someone who had learned to move through it. With his third eye open, he saw not just the world, but the wholeness within himself and in others. And he knew that the journey to wake up wasn't about reaching an end. It was about being present, allowing life to unfold, and embracing it all. Light, dark, and every color in between.